My next guest in the waiting room is amongst one of our most courageous, brave and incredible young people who was critically injured by the Taliban attack in 2014 against the Peshawar school in Pakistan. Despite his critical injuries, he is now in firm pursuit for a career in medicine and has taken the mantle of education to help inspire other children, and alongside his studies works tirelessly as a motivational speaker and campaigning against radicalisation and terrorism. He is a member of the British Youth Parliament and has been recognised by the Prime Minister as a point of light for the nation, and rightly so for the courage he has taken in speaking, inspiring and motivating others. It is my great privilege and pleasure to welcome Waleed Khan to the waiting room. What was your childhood like in the area that you grew up, and what would be the typical kind of things that you would do there?
I did had friends, and my school friends. I didn't really socialize outside school. As I mentioned, that I wasn't really a sociable person, so I only had friends in my school, and it was great that we used to like play together. We used to go around together, and I think life was great. I had a big family back there, and family gatherings, and life was really good until like the terrorists or the groups or whatever radical groups, when they arrived and when they started their influence in their area started spreading. So I think that's when things started to get a little like down. But before that, I think everything was great and life was good.
2014 was one of the most atrocious attacks, I think, really in the world. 150 children and other people died or were critically injured, and actually you suffered one of the most critical injuries during that time. If you could have the same bravery and courage that I've seen, could you tell us in detail what happened on the day that you were attacked?
So it was like it started as a normal day. We went to school in the morning, and I met my friends. We had a chat like always. We always argued about cricket and wrestling and politics. There was always, and we would always go. It was a routine that we would always go to the cafeteria and we'd have discussions there and just have a break in the morning, like the morning breaks. And so I think it started as a normal day, and I think 3 days before this attack, we had our sports week where we won all the cups, and we had won in basketball, in cricket, in football, so in table tennis. So we were really happy and overhyped, and we were like really like, you know, we were still in the celebrating, like, you know, we were still in that celebration mode, because it was just a Tuesday after Friday. So no one really wanted to go into classes and go back to studies, because we were still in that zone, like playing all day and competitions and stuff. So on that day we had our first aid lecture, and because I was the head boy at that time in my school, and I was told by my teachers that I should call all the students to the auditorium for the first aid lecture. And when I told everyone there that we're going for first aid lecture, everyone started celebrating. They started getting happy, because now we're gonna miss lectures and classes. So it was like it was an opportunity for everyone to just go there and miss classes. So they were really happy. Everyone was really happy going in there, and no one really wanted to go into lessons after having such a great week. So then. Our first aid lecture started, and when we were like halfway through the lecture, we heard some noises, and I asked my teacher that, you know, what's happening, and my teacher like really told me that no, there's nothing, don't worry. And we all were really hoping, because it was we didn't really think that it would be something like a terrorist attack or something like that, because noises like that were really normal in our school, because it was a military school, so there would be military parades around and stuff. So we really thought that it might be some military training or a parade or something going on. So no one really paid attention to that. And then those noises started getting louder and louder and closer. And then there was complete silence in the auditorium, and everyone started getting scared and nervous, and they were like, something is going wrong, like it's not normal, it's not normal. And there was still some people who really weren't paying attention to it. They were still saying that no, there's nothing, it's just an army drill or something. And then our teachers, all of a sudden, they locked all the doors in auditorium. And when the students saw that, they started getting more scared and frightened, because they were like, why are the teachers closing the doors? And then the teachers told all the students to go under their chairs. And that created more chaos and more like fright amongst the students. So I was still standing, and I didn't go under the chair, and because I was so confused and I was so lost at that time. I was like, what's happening and what's going on? And I asked my teacher again, one of the teachers standing there. I was like, what is happening? Like, why are you asking us to do these things? And he was like, no, don't worry, there is nothing, everything will be all right. And he was just trying to calm us down. And yes. Then all of a sudden I saw some shadow like at the back door, and they kicked the door once, and when they kicked it twice, the door broke and they came in. When they came in, and they started shouting and they started firing, and I was just numb at that time. I was just standing there, I was numb, and I really couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, what's happening around here? I couldn't really digest it. My eyes couldn't believe it. My brain wasn't accepting it, that what's happening around me, and who are these people? And they came in and they started shooting, and my friends at the backside of the auditorium, they got shot, and they shot students at the back first, and I was just numb. I couldn't move, I couldn't say anything, and I was just hoping that it's a dream. I was telling myself, it's a dream, it's a bad dream, this is impossible, this can't happen, this can't happen. I was like, when I looked at my friends getting shot, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, this is impossible, this is not something that can happen to me, to my friends, to us. This cannot happen to us, and you can never imagine those things in your life. And I think it was just a really like horrible situation for me, mentally and physically. And then one of the bullets hit me. One of them aimed his gun towards me, and he shot me from a distance. And because I was standing still and numb, I couldn't move. So I got the first bullet that I got was on my face. And with that, my teeth broke, my maxilla was badly damaged, and my jaws and everything, the base of my nose and the bones, it just shattered everything. And I just screamed. I screamed so loud that I had never screamed that loud in my entire life. And I just went down on the floor. I just fell down on the floor, and when I put my hand on my face, my hand went in, and I was like, no, this cannot happen. And I was in extreme pain, and I was like, no, this is not true. I was still telling myself, this is not true. I can't die. And I was like, my friends can't die. Like a few moments before, we were just laughing and joking with each other, and it's just 5 minutes after that, like they're no more with me, and I'm going after them. It was just something that my brain, my heart, I couldn't accept it, and I wasn't accepting it. I was like, no, this can't happen. This is not true. I was really praying that I'm like, please wake up. I was telling myself, please wake up. It's a dream. It's a dream. Unfortunately, it wasn't. So I was lying down there for a moment, and those people, they were checking everyone in the auditorium, that after getting everyone, they were checking everyone that if people are still alive or not. And I was on the stage because I was standing there, so I dragged myself down, and one of them saw me that I'm still alive, and they shot me, but I don't know, I didn't know how many times they shot me, and and then they left me. One of them kicked me, and then they left me. Because of that, my legs were damaged at the time as well. My lungs got damaged, and I was shot on the leg, on my hand, and one bullet just touched the back of my head, luckily, but it didn't went in. So then they went out to the other side of the auditorium, and I was just lying down there, and for a few minutes I was really not accepting that I'm going to die.
Yes.
And I was like, no, this cannot happen. And I was just praying that I want to see my mom for the last time. I don't know what clicked in my head or what happened. I just said to myself that no, I'm still breathing, I'm still alive. It's not the end yet. Somehow I managed to, when I was lying down there and when I was left alone, I managed to drag myself to go outside, and I started dragging myself, starting help from chairs and stuff. And at that time, I didn't realize that I was shot on my leg as well,
yes,
or my hand, because the pain in my face was so much that I wasn't really paying attention to any other injuries. I was just focusing on my face. And I managed to drag myself like 8 to 10 meters. And doing that at that time was for me like going like 800,000 miles. Then one of the teachers, they saw me, and they just opened the door and they dragged me through the door. I kept on telling myself that no, I won't let myself like sleep and go down, because I knew if my eyes get closed right now, then everyone would think that I'm no more and I wouldn't be rescued. So I was like, I have to keep myself awake. After 10 minutes, I think the army men, they arrived and they rescued me.
yes,
And I was taken to the hospital, and even when I was taken to the hospital, because it was an emergency situation and there was a chaos, so the doctors, when they saw me and everyone, they thought that I was dead. So they just made rush decisions, and they were like, I won't survive. So they just were going to put me with the dead bodies. And I took a long breath, and with that long breath, because my face was completely covered with blood and my face had opened up,
yes,
so there was some blood bubbles that developed in my mouth, and that's when one of the nurses saw me, and then she told the doctors that he's still breathing, and they just took me to the OT then. The last thing that I remember was I remember seeing the operation theater lights, you know, those many lights.
yes.
That's when I saw them. That's when I was like, I don't know. I had this belief that now I'm in safe hands. I don't know. Maybe my doctors gave me anesthesia or something, or there was something, but just my eyes got closed and I just went to sleep.
And in the background of all of that, you were, as you said, in a coma for 8 days. What had happened with your parents and them being notified in the time that you were being recovered?
So what my parents told me, because I didn't know what was happening around me, there was a complete chaos. It was just like going through hell, even worse than that, because my dad, he got a call in the morning from our school van driver that the school has been attacked. And according to my dad, he told him that, can't you get out, Waleed? And my younger brother was also studying with me at the same school.
Yes.
So at that time, my older siblings, they had left the school and they were like in other school. They went to colleges and stuff. But me and my younger brother were still in that school. So my dad told him that, why don't you just take them out and just bring them home?
Yes.
And he was like, it's impossible, can't you hear the firing and the bomb blast and everything? And my dad, he just got up, and when he heard like there was a terrorist attack, and he was just numb, and he didn't even told my mom. My mom asked him that what happened, and he didn't wanted her to, like, stress and things. Initially he told her that there has been an accident, and my mom was like, she was still worried and really, and she was like, what about Azaz? My younger brother is Azaz and Waleed.
Yes.
And my dad is like, they're fine, don't worry. And then my dad called his younger brother and other family members that there has been an attack. And then when my mom heard that, that's when she panicked, and there was she started crying, and she was like, no, what kind of terrorist attack, and where are they? And my whole family, my uncles, my cousin, my dad, my brother, everyone, family, friends, everyone just came in, and they rushed towards the school, and but no one was allowed to go in, and there was military and everyone that had arrived, and the attack was still going on, and they were just waiting outside, and they didn't know what was happening. And at that time, what gave them a little hope was that at that time my younger brother was in primary school, so he got out of the school safely.
Thank God.
So that's when that really like eased everyone a bit. Like they were like, oh, so he has came out safely, so everyone else would be safe, and now I will come out safe. That's what they were assuming, that, they were like, that's eased them down a little bit. But at that time, no one really realized that what was happening inside, that they were killing children, and there was so much firing. That's what there was a lot of firing and bomb blasts and constantly going on. And when the ambulance started going around, and like when the ambulances started coming out of the school, that's when everyone realized that there is shooting going on, and there is there's student casualties.
Yes.
And my dad went in straight to the CMH. My dad told his younger brother that you stay at school and watch out for him at the school gate, and other people to go to the other hospitals. And my dad himself, with a few of my cousins, went to CMH Combined Military Hospital in Peshawar.
Yes.
And they were looking for me everywhere, and they looked for me in dead bodies, in injureds. When my dad was looking through the dead bodies, he fainted twice. He was, I think it was every parent on that day, everyone was running around and looking for their children, and it was, the whole city was in a complete chaos, in a complete trauma, and there was like dead bodies everywhere in every hospital, and parents, family members, family friends, everyone was just running around and looking for their kids, looking for their relatives, looking for their friends. And in that were my family members as well, and family friends. They were looking for me everywhere. They looked for me in school, and there was a time that even the operation, like in our school, it ended, like, you know, the attack, the military like cleared the school and everything, and all the dead bodies and the injured, they had been sent to the hospital and the school was cleared, but they still couldn't find me. At last my dad asked one of the surgeon that I'm looking for my kid and I can't find him. I've looked everywhere. I've looked in the dead bodies, I've looked in the people who were taking hostages, they are rescued now. People who are injured, I can't find him anywhere, and neither in any hospitals. And then that surgeon told my dad that we have a kid that arrived in the morning and he is in really critical situation, and he is in ICU right now, intensive care, and you should go and have a look in the ICU. And when my dad went for the first time, my cousin went, and when he looked around the ICU, he couldn't find me, he couldn't recognize me, because my face was covered with bandages completely, my body was swollen completely, so they couldn't recognize me really. So when he looked around and he was like, no, he's not here, then my dad was like, no, I'm gonna go and see for myself. And then when he was looking for me, and my bed number was 8, and when he looked and he looked at me and he didn't recognize me, and the doctors told him that you should look for other things as well, like see whether there's any, like, you know, scars or any, like, you know, childhood, like, you know, birthmarks on his body. So my dad just he said, like, I pulled the blanket down a little, and he saw a shirt that he gave me 2 days before the attack, when I was going for, it was our award ceremony for the sports week, as I mentioned, and we were getting medals, and I was in a rush and it was cold, so my dad was like, you should wear another layer of shirt because it's too cold, and I was in a rush. I was like, no, and then he gave me a shirt. He was like, go on and wear this. So he recognized me from that shirt. Those 8 days were like a constant hell for my family, because no one slept. They were just standing outside and just waiting for any kind of news to come out constantly for 8 days, and they were just waiting for any sort of news and just preparing themselves mentally. But there was one person who couldn't, that was my mother, and she was never accepting it. I remember when I woke up on the 8th day, when I opened my eyes, that's when they allowed my mom to come in and see me. And when my mom came in and saw me, I couldn't speak. I couldn't, like, do any movements a lot, so I just moved my hand a bit, and I just could move my head, and the doctors were just confirming that it's my memory and everything is still intact. So they asked me, like, they showed me my mother and my sister, and they were like, do I remember them and do I recognize them? And I just moved my head. I was like, yeah, and there was tears in my eyes, and I started crying. And my mom called me by my name, and I just held her hand so tightly. At that time, she couldn't hug me, she couldn't kiss me, because no one was allowed to come closer to me because of infection, like danger. So the thing was that that was one of the most happiest moments and the saddest moments of my life. Ironically, the happiest was because I saw my mother and my family that I never imagined at that time that I would see them again.
Yes.
And the saddest thing was that going through all that, I had paid a big price.
Yes.
I had lost my childhood friends.
What were your thoughts about the people that had done this to you?
You know, naturally, in the start, I have had a lot of feelings, like, you know, of it was natural, of taking revenge.
Yes.
my friends, of what they have done to me, of what they had done to my friends. I've had like feelings of hurting them back, giving them back what they had done to me, doing the same thing to them. But then over time, when I started developing and when I started getting stronger mentally, I realized one thing, that I told myself, what will happen if I go and kill them or kill their children?
Yes.
Their children will grow up and they will kill my children tomorrow, and then this war, this thing will be going on for generations, and there will be no end to it.
Absolutely.
So I was like, I better should target their ideology. If I target a terrorist, I won't be able to finish them. There will be more and more and more, their generation. But if I target the ideology of terrorism through education, I would be able to eradicate terrorism. And I would be able to eradicate their idea. And that's what they fear. They don't fear guns and bombs. Many countries have tried that. What they fear is the idea of progress, of education, of humanity. And that's their biggest fear.
What were your injuries before the decision was made to bring you to the UK? What could you do and what couldn't you do?
So I wasn't able to walk because my doctors really didn't really focus on the leg bit and the hand, because the severe injury was my face.
Yes.
The main focus was my face, so they had to keep that for later. They had to keep that for later. And my face was badly damaged, as I mentioned, that my teeth, my maxilla and jaws, everything, it was the upper side was completely finished totally. Yes. And my nose and the right side of my face, the structure, it was completely dismantled. So I was in Pakistan, although we have amazing doctors, but we didn't have the technology.
Yes.
And advanced technology, so there was no treatment for that in there. So the doctors decided to send me here.
Yes.
And I was sent here for my surgeries, and I met this amazing group of doctors from the NHS, doctors and nurses. They've given me a new life, if I may say. Like they have given me a new life, and I think that thing really touched me. And spending time in hospital such a long time and going through everything, noticing everything, I think it just inspired me a lot. And that's why I really want to pursue medicine, because I want to contribute the same thing, and I want to do the same thing for other people who suffered like me or who suffered any other injuries. So I want to do the same thing for them. I owe the NHS so much. It's like my doctors and everyone, and the amazing staff, the amazing NHS people. And one thing I would say to them is they are our heroes. They are our real life heroes, our life saviors. All our people, they have this trust in them, look up to them. Before this incident, I didn't know what I'm going to do or what I was born for. But this, I think there is certain things in life like pain and agonies that gives you lots of pain, and that you go through a lot in it, but they also teaches you a lot, and there's also positives in that. It made me more determined than ever, stronger than ever, and it made me who I am today, to be honest. So I think it has given me the power that if I say something to people, I can actually empathize to them, because the journey I have been through, so I could actually help them from my personal experience.
Wonderful. I think that message is a beautiful one to end our interview on.
Thank you.
Despite everything you've been through, Waleed, you remain one of the most humble, elegant and courageous people I've had the pleasure of meeting. And I would like to thank you particularly for sharing your precious journey, for being here with me today. And I have no doubt, just the way that you have moved me and inspired me and continue to do so, that anyone who listens to your words today will also be moved. So thank you so much for
everything. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor and it's been a pleasure being here. So thank you.